Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session on MSc Responsible Business and Sustainability. My name is Miriam, and I'm here today joined by Dr. Maximilian Schormair, who is the Programme Director of Responsible Business and Sustainability. And we're so lucky to also have two current students joining us who will tell us a little bit about their student experience at Trinity Business School so far. So to give you an idea of what we'll cover over the next sort of 30 minutes, we're going to tell you who the programme is for, a little bit about the learning journey, the kinds of modules you're going to be studying. We'll then hear from the students about their experience on the programme, and we will just briefly touch on accommodation to give you some ideas and some tips on what you should do to get that sorted. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Dr. Schormair to tell you who the programme is for. Over to you, Max.
Yeah, many thanks, Miriam, and a warm welcome also from my side to this session. I'm delighted to speak about the program, and obviously one of the most important things for you to think about is, do I fit the profile for this particular program? And the first thing I really want to say is that the area of sustainability in business is a really vibrant field in academia and in business practice. So it's an exciting area to work in, to study in. And so I think this excitement around the topic of responsible business practice and sustainability and aiming to make businesses more sustainable, operating within planetary boundaries, that's one of the key things that I think you should bring with you for this program, because that's what we are all driven to achieve, and that's what the program is designed for. So really, it's about you being interested in studying something where you feel you make a difference, you can have an impact, and you work on really important challenges that business and society are facing. And climate change is one of the topics that is very much discussed. Biodiversity is another issue, for example. So really being focused on meaning and impact. That's what is important for us as well. And I already mentioned it's a vibrant field, which also means in terms of job opportunities, there's a lot out there. So if you're interested in a career connected to ESG, is another term for sustainability in business, or CSR, corporate social responsibility roles, that is a great preparation to transition into these roles. Maybe you already had some work experience in your undergraduate degree around this and want to build on it. The program will really deliver the essentials for you in this field so that you can move forward in your career and take on these roles that are still really emerging, with new regulations coming in, driving, particularly in the EU, driving the adoption of sustainable business practices over the next few years. So you're really well prepared to transition into these kind of specialist roles, be it also in consultancy, or in businesses actually taking on these roles. And then really what we also aim for here is to enable students to become leaders around sustainability and ethics in business. So we really want them to get the necessary tools and frameworks, make connections with guest lectures, practitioner days where they can meet people and get a sense of what is required in this field to succeed, and then drive change going forward as we are all entering this phase of transformation of the economies to a more sustainable place. And that's what we really want to achieve. And ultimately, really, what is always the most important thing for choosing a postgraduate program is a deep interest in the topic. And so responsible business practices and sustainability should be something that you're really interested in and want to learn more about. And then you are exactly in the right place with us. And then I'm also very happy to talk a bit about the learning journey. That's obviously something we care a lot about, that we have the right modules and the right topics, with also a pacing across the year that you are having with us that works. So in semester one, which in Trinity is called Michaelmas term, starting in September, you're going to have 4 modules. we start the learning journey basically with two modules, Business and the Natural Environment and Sustainable Corporate Governance and Inclusive Business. The first one is a really innovative module in itself because it's designed in collaboration with the School of Natural Sciences at Trinity and led by the Vice Provost for Biodiversity and a strong team, interdisciplinary team of scholars who work kind of apply a natural sciences lens on business and are able to convey, kind of live in both worlds and can convey the importance around staying within planetary boundaries, why biodiversity is important. That's a really, really important topic, obviously, around sustainability and the environmental aspect of it. And that's strongly focused on in this module. Then we have Sustainable Corporate Governance and Inclusive Business. And that's also a module that is really geared towards conveying some of the basics around governance. We all probably know that it's an important aspect, how corporations are run, what kind of objectives should they set for themselves. And one of the key themes is also multi-stakeholder collaboration. So it's a big challenge to become sustainable, and it's important to orient your in-house operations in a way that aligns with sustainability, but you can only achieve that if you collaborate with others. And that's a key theme running through this module as well. Research methods is obviously also important. We have a dissertation coming up for you as part of the program. I will talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And the research methods module is basically there to give you the methodological insights that you need to really work on a dissertation successfully. And that's why it's also in semester one, so that you have time to kind of settle in, understand the basics, and then also develop your first research ideas in this setting. And then we also have a module around innovation strategy and systems thinking as the final one in semester one, which really focuses on systems thinking as a core concept within sustainability. It's about understanding that businesses are embedded in a wider social and environmental system, and that has deep implications actually for how we understand business conceptually, and then also for what kind of solutions can be advanced. So that's an important module. And innovation is one of the key areas that we need businesses to thrive on so that we achieve better impacts around sustainability going forward. So that's the package of semester one. And that's also kind of the state our two students are in right now. So they have just finished the first semester, have passed these modules, and are hopefully looking forward to the next, which is now starting. So the second semester then focuses on two really key areas of sustainability. When you talk to business practitioners, many will talk to you about those two areas. The first one is reporting. So it's a big area with European regulation now into force, even more so with the new European Sustainability Reporting Framework and Due Diligence Framework. So we have one module dedicated to understanding reporting around sustainability, and another module focusing on one of the key challenges under the umbrella of sustainable business, which is climate action. And there specifically understanding the essentials of carbon accounting and life cycle assessment. Two core conceptual points in this climate action debate. Every business needs to understand what is our current CO2 footprint, how can I determine that, and what kind of actions can I take to improve upon that? And these are the essential points in these two modules. It's also an innovative way these modules are designed in the sense that they are interlinked with each other. There is a joint assessment component for the two modules as well, because there are obviously intersections between reporting and climate action, because companies need to report on their carbon emissions, they need to provide transparency, and then annually report on improvements that they have made. And so you can see there is a deep connection there. And then we have two more modules, which undoubtedly are super relevant in this field as well. The one is leadership. I already mentioned that's one of the ideas we have, that the students going out of this program really see themselves as drivers for change, whatever role they take on. And so it's obvious then that we need a module in there about responsible leadership and understanding how that works. And that's part of the second semester, as is a module focusing on technology, which is very important. I think I only need to mention AI and the kind of ethical challenges, but also opportunities that this technology provides. So it's clear we need to think about digital technologies. We need to think about how businesses can actually interact and deal with those developments responsibly. And that's also a module that we have in the second semester. And then what basically runs across the learning journey to an extent is the dissertation. And that's the final step here. May to August is the heavy work period, if you like, around dissertations for students, but there's obviously already in the second semester, they would start working on this with topics being assigned and supervisors being allocated. And already in semester one, kind of the brainstorming, if you like, starts around ideas. And the only thing I really want to mention here in a bit more depth around research dissertations is the fact that you have a choice. So what we offer students is a choice between an individual classic academic dissertation, if you like. You get an academic supervisor, you decide on the topic, the supervisor is allocated to you on the basis of expertise for the topic area that you want to work in. And it ties into the research methods module also in the sense that you work on a proposal there, which is usually the first step in defining your project more with the supervisor. So you have an academic supervisor, you work with that supervisor and alone work on your project. But there is the other opportunity that we give students, which is a group student consultancy project. So you can do your dissertation also in collaboration with a business, working on a real-world business sustainability challenge that this business is currently facing. And you would work in small teams, 2-3 students work together. You have a company contact person, also an academic supervisor, and you work with them on this problem, trying to find solutions and ideas for the business as kind of the group dissertation, if you like. So there are these two options that you can decide on, and the decision is usually made at the end of semester one, and then at the beginning of semester two, we kind of behind the scenes allocate everything, and then you know who you work with going forward in semester two. So this is the learning journey overall. And then final point, obviously, is that graduation. It's always one of the absolute highlights for everyone to graduate in Trinity. As many of you might know, we have a splendid, marvelous campus and great graduation ceremonies. So this is also something to look forward to. And overall, what you can see here also is it's a packed year full of great learning experiences. And it flies by, I guess, probably the students will agree. It goes away pretty fast. So I'm also surprised how quick it always goes. But yeah, so there's a lot happening. And with that, I'm happy to hand over back to Miriam.
Max, thank you so much for all of those wonderful insights into the modules. They sound really exciting, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more from the students in a few moments about how they're experiencing the modules and how they're getting on. So thank you for that. I just really quickly want to give you an overview of the current class profile. So this program is incredibly new. This is the first sort of year that it's actually running. And for the first year, actually, we're really, really proud of the amount of diversity that we have been able to sort of put into the classroom. We currently have 9 different nationalities in the class. As you can see, many from Europe, others from East and South Asia, which is absolutely fantastic. In terms of the divide between EU and non-EU, we're sort of, half and half, 50-50 nearly. And then because, as Max mentioned earlier, this program is open to students from all academic backgrounds. You can see here we have students who have done business and management in the past, arts and humanities, engineering, architecture, IT, and then health science, and then social science as well. I think most students, with about 36%, we have business and management. And then the second sort of biggest representation is also from arts and humanities at about 30%. And then some other students from the other academic backgrounds as well. So today, as I mentioned, we're quite lucky to have two students with us. I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute so that you can see them. So I have Manan and Daniela with us here today. And Daniela is actually, she has a background in sort of marketing, communications. And then we have Manan, who's more from, isn't it policy that you've studied, Manan? I might just go to you first, if you can tell us a little bit about your academic background, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Miriam. Hi, everybody. So, my name is Manan. In terms of my background, I come from a policy background at the bachelor's level. So, I have studied international relations in my bachelor's as a part of a liberal arts program. Post that, I was always impact oriented, I would say, in my approach towards life in general. So, that's how I approached things. And back then I very clearly remember that as a part of my program I wanted to create impact through my work, but I did not see that really happening through international relations or policy back in India, at least where I come from, and which is why I decided to pivot. I worked in private equity for 1 year, and post that I pivoted into sustainability through working in a corporate firm. It's called PwC. I was consulting with them for around a year and a half, and I've been freelancing since the past 2 years now.
That's amazing. And Manan, where's home? Where have you come from to study with us at Trinity?
I come from New Delhi in India, yeah.
Amazing. So just around the corner, really. And I wonder, why did you start researching, like, a program like this? What sort of motivated you to start researching?
I do think that an international perspective in sustainability is very important to me. So I knew it was the right time for me to find the right geography in terms of the economy of the country, and also the program in terms of the university and the pedagogy. When I was going through the course structure and also what the course modules were like, I think this program really stood out to me a lot. So that is something which definitely attracted me. And then also, I think specifically around the economy of Ireland as compared to a lot of other places, is I felt was doing much better as compared to a UK or other places in the world. And that is why I was very specific on the geographies that I applied to for my masters. So these two factors featured primarily, and also of course language is always a plus because I come from an English speaking country. Blending it into Ireland has been very easy as well. So that was an add-on as well.
That's amazing. And you mentioned earlier as well that you do have some work experience in the field of, ESG reporting and in consulting. You're a freelancer yourself.
Yeah.
So what do you feel? Did you find there was any repetition for you on the program, or what was your experience with that?
Yeah, so just a quick maybe a background about what I did. So when I was working with PwC, for example, I was with their ESG reporting team, where I was helping clients and Indian and global corporations alike on their ESG reporting, also with aspects like carbon accounting and so on and so forth, which are within the realm of ESG again. But in terms of the course structure, I knew there would be some overlaps because I've worked in this field. I've worked in this field for the past 2 or 3 years now, and I knew there would be some overlaps in terms of what I've studied and what I've learned over the course of my career. But also, I felt there were lots of things which I did not know at all. A very small example of that would be in terms of the key learnings. There's a module on sustainable and corporate governance in the first semester itself, where as a part of an assessment you learn about the human rights due diligence process and how it really happens. That for me was a huge takeaway because that is something which is growing tremendously now. It's a part of various global reporting directives, and companies need to do this actively now. So this is an actual a key takeaway for me, which I can literally apply to my freelance work and my clients on any day now. So just a quick example of something which has been tangibly absorbed by me. and can be reflected in my work as well going forth.
Fantastic. So despite you having all of that experience, there are things that you can take away from the program that you can directly apply to the
Absolutely.
firms with which you are working. That's just it's the dream, isn't it? Amazing.
Of
Thank you
course.
for that. I'm going to go over to Daniela for a second. Daniela, hi. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us where you're from and what your background is in, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone watching. I'm Daniela. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Germany. I got my bachelor's degree in communication as my major and business as my minor, and I just finished in July and pretty much immediately moved to Ireland and started last September with this program. Yeah, in comparison to Manon, I don't have any experience yet with sustainability. Everything I knew before this was from my private, out of my private interest, to just inform myself, to follow politics. I mean, sustainability and social responsibility is all around us now, luckily. But yeah, still decided to come here because I really wanted to switch into that field. I wanted to pursue a more business-oriented career. I'm very happy where I am right now.
That's amazing. And I'm going to ask you a similar question to what I asked Manan earlier. So what sort of motivated you to start researching for a program like this? What kinds of words did you use when looking for this kind of program?
Yeah, so I mostly worked in marketing when I was studying my bachelor's, and I was lucky that I was able to collect experience at 4 different companies. And what just really stood out is that 3 of them were more in the sustainable or social entrepreneurship kind of side, and the other one was just marketing agency. And although it all was marketing, I just realized that how important it was for me to work on something that I kind of believe in. Like it just was, I had a lot more fun working on something like a social mission than just selling electronics. Let's put it that way. That was where I realized I really wanted to go into the sustainability slash social entrepreneurship, leadership direction. So I literally just typed in master's sustainability and very quickly found this program because I was also specifically looking for English speaking countries, which Ireland is. So that's how I found it.
Oh, amazing. And had you been to Ireland before?
Yeah, I had visited once before and I love Dublin. So that definitely was a factor as well. Yeah.
Can you tell us, both of you actually, Manan as well, feel free to interject. What do you like about Dublin? How do you find it now that you've been here for a few months? What are the sort of good things about the city?
Yeah. To say it in the Gen Z language, I just love the vibe. You probably will know what I'm talking about. I think it's just a very lively city. There's always something to do. It's very nice. I have to say, I'm surprised that there's a lot more sun than I was expecting. Even today, I mean, I'm in a room without windows now, but there's so much. The sun is shining, the sky is blue. So it's just a beautiful city. There's a lot to do, a lot of culture, Irish culture, of course, pubs. So yeah.
Very good. What about you, Manan?
For me, I think specifically, I'm a person who loves history, who loves architecture. So I think Ireland has a lot to offer. I love languages too, and I don't know how many people know or not, but Ireland has a local language called Gaelic, which is again deeply rooted in its history and culture. It's a beautiful language. If anybody comes here, I strongly suggest you discover it as well. Also, because of its history, because of its economy, Ireland is also a very diverse place. You get to meet people from all across the world. As is, I mean, this program is a microcosm of the same theory, but there are people from all across, and that really gives you a lot of cultural exposure in terms of who you interact with and what your learnings like. You make friends really from all across the world, and that again matters a lot to me.
Okay, thank you for that. And do you feel then, as you mentioned, that sort of diversity within the class being a microcosm, what kinds of, I guess, how is it going in terms of group works and how you collaborate with people, you sort of cross-culturally? Is that something you're experiencing in your group work?
Yeah, definitely. So the groups are usually very diverse again in terms of gender and nationality. One, the program is already so diverse that you can never really be, in a group of the same of the people of the same country or nation. You will definitely have people from all across. not just from the same region, but also from different regions across the world. So you would have Europeans, you would have Asians, you would have different parts of Asia in your group. So it's again a very good collaborative environment, and it's again every assignment is through the interactions. It is in a way enriching, honestly, and yeah, that's what adds to the program for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of the most valuable aspects of this program, that there are just so many, well, 9 nationalities, as you mentioned before, because even during the lectures or when we speak after class, you always get so many different perspectives, and that just, yeah, I think adds so much value to what we're doing, because that also just shows how sustainability is supposed to work, in my opinion, because the whole world is impacted by it, and we all need to work on it. So it's so great to get the Irish perspective, the Indian perspective, the Spanish one, and to see where different people have different experiences related to this topic. So that's really, really great.
That's amazing. Fantastic. It sounds like you really do get exposed to lots of different perspectives. So that's absolutely wonderful. And do either of you currently have jobs? Are you working while you're studying? Do you have capacity to do that? Or are you just focusing on your studies for these kinds of 9 months?
So I'm only studying right now.
Okay.
Yeah, taking the 1 year just focused on this academic way.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm majorly studying, but also doing a few things on the side. As I mentioned, I freelance, so I still have some client work which I do whenever possible on the side, and I also do some climate workshops through this organization called Climate Fresk, and also I organize a meetup for people within the realm of sustainability and climate. Again, if anybody comes here, I'd be more than happy to introduce them to that. But yeah, so I think. The course is quite rigorous, but also you can find time maybe to do things apart from that as well. So I think it's you can balance the two.
Thank you. Thank you for that insight, because I think a lot of students, we get lots of questions around that. Can I still work? Because as we know, it is quite expensive to live in Dublin, and accommodation and everything that comes with it. So, but before we move on to accommodation, I just want to ask, if you kind of think back to this time last year when you were applying for this program, is there any kind of advice that you would give to prospective applicants? Anything you would have liked to know?
Can go first. So it's, I think, a very basic tip, but honestly, don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, one thing I've learned since I've been here at Trinity is that everything is maybe not informal, but it's just a very friendly atmosphere between, for example, the lecturers and us students, but also the staff. Like Miriam is always so happy to help everyone, and also with alumni that sometimes come to Trinity to talk. So I feel like everybody's just so helpful and really wants to get the best experience out of it. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask, because I know there are a lot of them. I was exactly at the same place a year ago, and even now that there will be alumni in a few months, hopefully, I feel like, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but most of us are very nice. So even if you want to look us up on LinkedIn, at least for my place, I would be happy to answer any question, because I know sometimes it's helpful to get the student perspective. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. Everybody's happy to help.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. I think everybody is more than happy to help, and I've had in the past people reach out with questions, and I'm more than happy to take them as well. I think something that you should do is actually hit up people, not just of this program, but also like just sectors which interest you within sustainability, be it reporting, be it climate, and strike up conversations. Because I feel like in this world of social media, and especially LinkedIn, when I was researching, I researched for a good 2 or 3 years to decide which geography was right, which program seemed right, all these things. I took my sweet time, but I really spoke to a lot of people. Honestly, like I can't count as many people, but like really a lot of people, and that gave me a lot of perspective as to what was the right pathway for me. So knowing that, I think, is a little important. So just be open to talking. There are lots of resources again to strike up these conversations. There are people in this sector more than happy to offer their time, very experienced people as well. So again, you can reach out to me, and these resources are something which are available to everybody. But as Daniela mentioned, like please hit up people and talk to them. They will give you their perspective, which could be helpful.
Thank you. I think that's really sound advice from both of you. And looking ahead to the future, do you know what kinds of what you would like to do after the program. We're all very curious. Daniela?
Difficult question. So I think one very great thing and honestly privilege of this program is that there are a lot of directions we can go. I'm honestly really curious into 5 years to talk to the whole class and see where we end up. But it also can be kind of overwhelming, in my opinion, because you kind of have to, well, looking for a job, you have to focus on one thing at first, I guess. So me personally, I'm not sure yet. I think I'm going to go into the CSR direction, so CSR manager or something. I would love to work with the United Nations maybe one day. We'll see, but I still need to explore all the different options, I think.
Amazing. Well, we can't wait 5 years from now to hear from you. We'll have you back on to see what's happened. And what about you, Manan? Are you hoping to stay in Europe or would you go home? What's
I
in
think I would want to stay in Europe, maybe for a few years, 2 or 3 years, 4 years. I do eventually want to go back to India because I think that's where my impact truly lies. But maybe getting a feel of the European sustainability reporting environment is the right fit for me for the next foreseeable future, for the next few years. And as mentioned earlier, there are more than enough opportunities right now with the reporting requirements increasing substantially. So yeah, that's my plan for now.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thank you both for sharing all of that with us. I think it's incredible. And we can't wait to see where you're going to end up in 2-3 years from now. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. No pressure. Right, Max?
I can't wait to know either. So
Okay, well, I'm just going to quickly share screen again because I want to show a very rudimentary sort of map of Dublin because we want to talk a little bit about accommodation. So we know that this is sort of not a pain. Oh, actually, sorry, we didn't quite go into the field trip. I had a few pictures ready because obviously, other than everything that you learn within the classroom, there are also a few different trips that you go on. Can you just quickly tell us a tiny bit about that? What are we seeing here on screen, Daniela?
so that was our field trip to the bog. Was very rainy all day long, but it was part of the experience. No, it was really great because it was, I think, the first few weeks of our program, and it was so nice, I think, especially for us who aren't from Ireland, to explore the Irish nature, to kind of see, sounds kind of cheesy, but what we're all doing it for. I mean, I think someone who goes into the sustainability field usually will have some kind of love for nature. So it was very, very interesting trip. You probably wouldn't do like that if you weren't in this program.
And I believe then this one is pertaining to the module that Max told us about earlier that's run by the School of Natural Science, isn't it? So you really get in touch with nature and to see the real impact of business on our planet.
Yeah.
Manan, did you want to add something?
Yeah, just to connect that there, I mean, the module is called Business and the Natural Environment, and really it forms that bridge between the business world and the natural environment world. And again, the pedagogy, the practical experience like this, both are a very good link between the two. So you get that out of that module specifically.
That's fantastic. And then other than this, you also did a different trip to a company, isn't it? You had like a practice day. I think anybody watching, if you have a look on our LinkedIn, you will find a video of the practice day. I think it started in the morning. You watched a movie, wasn't it? Do you remember what movie it was? What is it that you started the day with? I really hope you remember.
So I don't remember a name, but it was about an Irish scandal that took place a few years ago.
Max is nodding along.
I'm obviously happy to jump in, but Manan, maybe you go first.
I will try. As Daniela mentioned, it was about a scam which took place by a prominent Irish businessman. Um,
Yeah.
I think you'd have to help me here, Professor, but in going into the details of the movie. But yeah, I think.
Well, I was hoping the first thing you were going to say are the free donuts.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah. So Sean Quinn. So it's about Sean Quinn, and it's a documentary basically that we watched about Sean Quinn. That's the way we kicked the day off, and then we had guest speakers coming in. So I don't know, maybe one of you maybe you want to quickly talk about the day. What else we did? Anyone from you?
Yeah. We had a guest speaker come in, and then post that we went for a field, not a field trip, but like a trip to office close by of this company called ESB. ESB is basically the main energy provider to the entirety of Ireland. And what we learned there was is how they source their energy, how they generate the energy, and how they provide that to the whole country. We went into their I would call it the war zone, but that was more like the control room with like screens all over, which was super interesting because you really understand how the company functions, what controls go where, and how this actually impacts sustainability. How are they being sustainable as a company themselves, from their operations even down to their facility, like the office space that we were in. We learned how that was a more sustainable office space as well. These things take a lot of effort, and a lot of brainstorming goes into these. So we really got to know how that happens.
And at the end of
That's
the day,
fantastic.
we went to the pub.
I mean, you're in Dublin. Where else are you going to go at the end of the day? That's fantastic. And I think the key takeaway here, that is, if you do join this program, you will get free donuts at some point. So that's
Indeed, and maybe let me just pick up on the pub, because for me it was a great day and an excellent ending of the day, because it was just such a nice atmosphere going to this pub very nearby, and then just talking. It was a really good experience, and I think it speaks to what you were saying earlier about the diversity of the group, the different perspectives, and really, Daniela, to pick up your term, the vibes also among the program, I felt were really good, and so I really enjoyed that. And in addition to that, beside the pub was an excellent Italian pizza shop, and so even that, so it was just marvelous, I would say.
that's amazing. Oh God, it sounds like a fantastic day, honestly. So that's
Yeah,
great.
it
Do
really
you
was.
do you have anything planned for semester two or not yet in terms of sort of trips and visits?
Oh, for sure. The students will already know. We have several trips again lined up to other companies, and yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. Okay, so apologies. I realize we're kind of going over time a little. Well, I'm going over time a little bit. So, as I had promised earlier, I teed it up a couple of times, but we finally made it to this slide. So this is Dublin. I think we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, and that students really do feel a little bit anxious when it comes to looking for accommodation, especially if you're researching from abroad. And I think I just wanted to get your insights, Manan and Daniela, as to how your experience was and what it is that you did to kind of help to manage the accommodation situation. Manan, would you
Yeah.
like to start?
Yeah, I can go first. So I think it's always a nerve-wracking experience because it's the place that you will be living in, and therefore spending a majority of your time, even beyond the school. Um, it was a nerve-wracking experience for me as well because you're far away from the place that you will be in, and you have to still sort out the accommodation from just there. But don't worry, honestly, like the providers which are there who might be reaching out to you, or who you might reach out to, are all good. They're all trustworthy. Where I live in specifically, this space is called, it's a provider called Aparto. So they have facilities all across Dublin. All of them are of a good standard. They are good places. That's a student accommodation. So you can go for either student accommodation or for living by yourself. I personally wanted to go for a student accommodation because it takes care of a lot of things for you. And for a private accommodation like a flat or an apartment, I would rather be on site over here, visit the place, and then see. So therefore, a student accommodation was a safe bet for me coming from India. And yeah, I think the experience has been really good because most things are taken care of in terms of the electricity, the facilities like the Wi-Fi. All these things are really good. The facilities in terms of where you live, your room, the common areas, everything is really good again. So it's all of a good standard. And then also, my accommodation is like very close to the campus. It's a 15-minute walk, so it's comfortable that ways too. I can easily walk to the campus, if not take the tram. The tram and the public transport network is also very strong over here in Ireland.
That's fantastic. And then Daniela, did you? Oh, actually, man, sorry. Before I let you go, roughly when did you apply for your accommodation? if you remember?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think a lot of people sometimes can defer this to the later stages, like say June, July, or August. But I would suggest you go for securing a student accommodation as early as possible because they go out very quickly. I applied for mine in April and I got a confirmation in the first half of May. So I would say you should start searching now and book a place if you're sure of coming here. Book it as soon as possible. Yeah, you will get the choice of your room. You will get the rent that you want to go for. So I think these things are important considerations, and applying ASAP would be a good idea.
Thank you for that. And Daniela, what about you? When did you apply for accommodation and did you get the place you wanted?
Yeah, so I agree on that. If it's possible, of course, the best option would be to look as soon as possible. I also applied in April, I think. I'm in a Hugo student accommodation. There are a lot of locations in Dublin, and a lot of the student accommodations are very close to campus. So I live like 20 minutes walking distance from Trinity Business School, but it's great. But yeah, there are a lot of student accommodations, so I'm sure you will find something.
Thank you so much. And I think these guys know as well that obviously Trinity accommodation is mainly reserved for undergraduate final year students, first year students. So postgrads don't get that many places, you know, on campus accommodation. So it is better to sort of maybe look out at these private providers that are still trustworthy. And obviously, you know, it goes without saying, please beware of different kind of scams and things that are happening. They're just everywhere at the minute. I've heard all sorts of things. So before you exchange money, send money to anybody, just please be sure of what you're doing. Okay. Okay, so this is the end of the presentation. I hope it was insightful and that you all got something out of this webinar. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. As I said before, you can just email me directly if you want me to have a look at your transcript to see if you're eligible to apply or anything like that. Always feel free to reach out to me. I just want to thank the panelists again. Dr. Max Schormair, Manan, Daniela, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and your insights that you've given us on the program. And it sounds incredibly exciting. And yeah, thank you very much. I hope you have a great afternoon.